are here. We are here.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Coach's Huddle. It's your boy, the Coach, where the field meets family. And I got my man, 10 grand, Tom Jensen here. And we got a little bit of a barn burner for you, all right? It's going to be a little bit of a lightning round, all right? Charge it to our head and not our hearts. We're going to zoom through these. We're going to get through. We got some good stuff lined up for you guys. Tom, how you doing?
Doing okay, Coach. I just got over the flu, but I'm doing all right today.
You know what? You keep on kicking. You keep on fighting.
Yeah.
Don't stop believing, Tom. Look, there's a lot that's happened over the offseason, right? We've looked at so many. We've looked at the meetings. We've looked at innuendo. We've looked at 30 visits. We looked at draft prospects. Guys have risen. Guys have fallen. We're here to make sense of it all, Tom. Okay?
Indeed.
Let's break into it right away. Jed York, Kyle Shanahan, and John Lynch all spoke at the NFL meetings, and they gave us a lot to chew on, from the Brock Purdy contract situation, to hints about the draft. We unpacked the biggest takeaways and what they reveal about the Niners' direction. Tom, just on the outset, tell me how you felt about what you took in from the owners' meetings.
I didn't hear anything that really surprised me. It was Jed saying that we need to get something done, and that's going to be more on Brock than us, which tells me that they've got a contract range in mind that they think is fair, and they're just waiting for Brock to realize that this is it. This is the range. You're not going to get 60. And then in terms of Kyle, it's okay. We've come off a 6-11 season. We need to reboot. We need to get better. We need to work in our processes. We need to rethink things. And then Lynch just saying that we are what we are, but we're going to have to get a lot better in this draft, and let's get to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I saw was they're all in lockstep when it comes to how they're moving forward with the money. Right?
Yeah.
You don't see, usually when you see guys, they come back and there's a little bit of frustration with the organization kind of dragging their feet or not paying guys that the coaching staff or the regime wants to get paid. You've seen in years past, or in seasons past rather, where we've heard John Lynch talk about, hey, we're trying our best to get things done. We want guys here. We're going to do our best to make sure that guys are, quote unquote, 49ers for life or 49ers for a duration of time. They've always led with this, no Niner left behind, for lack of a better term, right?
Yeah.
Type of perspective. But it seemed like they were all on the organizational towing line where, hey, we understand how the money's going, and that's our job to make sure that the draft works. We've got 11 picks this year. There were in years past where you would hear them say, hey, man, we've got 9 picks this year. We've got 10 picks this year. You can't expect 9 rookies to make this team. You can't expect 10 rookies to make this team. All of that type of rhetoric that used to be wrapped around in years past, you don't hear that anymore. I like where the organization is taking the team. I really do. I love the direction in which they're going in. I think that Jed's comments on understanding what it takes to build around Brock Purdy was something that I love to see. I loved how he responded. Now, there's a couple of things that, all right, so look, I said that he did great. I said I loved how he responded. However, there are a couple of things that I take some exception to.
Okay, let's hear it.
Number one, when are we going to stop blaming? When are we going to stop blaming Eddie D for winning without a salary cap? Why does that always have to come up in every conversation that Jed has?
Because Jed doesn't have a 6th yet, and that's why it's on his mind. He's reminded of the fact that he hasn't won a ring yet, and so I think that builds some resentment within the family, that the Yorks are keenly aware of the fact that they haven't won a championship.
Also, mentioning, I wouldn't be mad at Jed for him to, he doesn't have to keep linking Kyle in. This is how I read this. Now, you're familiar with the quote of him saying that Brock Purdy is top 10 linked with Kyle. With as long as Kyle and Brock are together, Brock Purdy's top 10. And in one perspective, you could say, all right, he's kind of carrying Brock's water, right? Like, why do you have to capitulate? Don't soften the blow. If you have to say that, then he's not top 10, right? That's kind of like the cynical take. But you know how I interpreted that?
It's also the accurate take, though.
But you know how I interpret that. I'm glad that you took that. Okay. You think it's the accurate take. All right. But you know how I took this, Tom? I took this as, Kyle, I'm going to pin this kid to your fucking chest. Like, you're not getting away and leaving me with this kid. If he fails, you fail. And it needs to be on the record that I believe that together you're top 10. It's almost like a little bit of kind of like a silent throw at, hey, they went 6-11, but I believe they're top 10. So if they do this again, what do you expect me to do? Because I believe. Do you see where I'm coming from? I kind of felt like he was giving them enough rope to hang themselves in a sense. What do you think?
I thought that was shrewd and smart, that's what he should do. Is that, look, you've moved on from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback. That's not going to happen anymore. You're telling us this is your guy, and now I'm going to back you up and say, okay, then, I believe in Kyle, John, and Brock. And he's putting all three of them together. And I think that's going to be a critical element within the contract talks, is that if they fail, you need to link all three so that you can move on to a new GM, new coach, new quarterback. So one thing I'm going to be looking at with Brock is, when is the out? Does he have a 3-year contract? Does he have a 5-year contract with a 3-year out? Whenever that out is when the Yorks are going to, in my opinion, look at the possibility of moving on from Lynch and Shanahan, because then it's a clean reboot. So that's one of the things I'm really looking for in the contract is, when does Brock leave? Because he goes, they all go, and Jed has set the table for that.
Yeah, I believe that as well. And I think that's kind of what I want to lead into, which is the Brock Purdy contract negotiations. All right. So everybody is of the mindset, and I'm here to listen, hear you out as well. But everybody is of the mindset that Brock Purdy is going to get paid a Brinks truck boatload full of money. And it's going to be, let's just get to it. Essentially, whatever happens, whatever the net is, the entire NFL world is going to look at this, and this is supposed to be the Niners' comeuppance from years of bad drafts, trading up 3 picks for Trey Lance, coming to the doorsteps of championships and not getting it done, signing all of these high-priced free agents throughout the middle of the season, overpaying and doubling down on old aging veterans. We've got a lot of football sins where I believe that the collective football world is in a sense waiting for us to get ours. They're waiting for us to get our karma. Like, we need to, the 6-11 wasn't enough.
Oh no, they want 5 years of misery.
They want blood.
Basically.
Yeah. Right.
There will be blood.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And that's what they're all, because the Niners have been so successful for so long that the league is itching for the Niners to fail and fall flat in their face. So yeah, but what's that really going to mean? It means that they're going to have to pay Purdy because they don't have an alternative.
Right.
And then Purdy comes in and says, I want 60. The Niners come back and say, no. Yeah, Josh Allen got 55. Granted, it's all guaranteed, but that's Josh Allen. You're not getting more money than him.
Right.
So I think that the range is basically 50 to 55. That's what Brock is going to accept. That's what the Niners will eventually settle to. and it's just what happens within that range. I would
And
hope that it's low 50s. Yeah, everybody can make the argument that it should be theoretically in the 40s because that's really what he's worth given last year. But given the marketplace and given that Brock did make a Super Bowl, that it's going to be difficult to get them to agree to the 40s. I don't think they would. So I think that if a deal does get made, it's got to be in that 50 to 55 range.
All right, 50 to 55 AAV. Can you pay? I'm not to put you on the spot, and if you can, it's cool. But is there a world where even if they get the 55, because we've talked about this, the 55 AAV, right? The 55 AAV, we could put a little bit of time on this. I run the show here. This is a scrimmage, man. I run this is an old school scrimmage. I tell the refs when to throw the flag. Okay, this how we get it done here.
Fair enough. Let's go.
So, right, and we'll get to what we can get to. But let's say Brock gets his money. Let's say he gets the 51 or whatever, right? Okay. And AAV, that's what he gets. Is there a universe where the contract still falls favorably on the team?
It can. Depends on how it's structured. When's the out? What's the signing bonus? All that stuff. But to me, we have to look at this from the context of what are the Yorks willing to spend in free agency over the next few years? Mm-hmm. Is this austerity move from them long term? If it is, does it really matter if we pay Brock 50 or 55? No. Because you don't need to save any cap room if you're not going to spend anything in free agency.
Okay. So, I mean, my biggest thing right now is that I like I said before, I'm not too concerned with what Jed spends. I'm not. Right? What Jed thinks that he wants to pay out of his own pocket to pay Brock, that's his prerogative, right? No pun intended, his prerogative. But what
that's good. That's really good.
But I'm here all night. Try the veal.
Tip your waitress.
Tip your waitress on the way out, folks. I'm here all night. So, but I think really the deal could fall favorably on the team. And I think that's what quarterback deals are. You know, I understand that good players and veteran players can come in and make deals, but when you're an edge in a Nick Bosa, you're a left tackle in a Trent Williams, you know, these guys, it really is just what the market says, right? Yeah. It's like, hey, man, you know, even to the point where Trent Williams was so, you know, steadfast on it was about the money. He literally got, I think, $1 more to be able to be paid as the highest paid left tackle in the league. I mean, that
made a difference to Trent.
Yes.
He asked for that.
But I want to highlight just a different side of this thing, Tom. When you start looking at partnerships, equity, right? You know, even quarterbacks, it's not just a quid pro quo. It's not a 9-to-5 job, right? When you're the quarterback, you are the face, okay? You are the standard bearer, and even however the money bears out, quarterbacks are looking at more of a long-term situation rather than smash and grab. Every time I'm at the table, I got to eat until I gorge. And I just don't think that Brock's moral makeup is one to not have that type of foresight. I just don't, for a guy to be so, you know, deferent, for him to have so much clarity on, you know, it's not about wins and losses. It's about the team. It's about being with the guys. It's, you know, for him to be, you know, have that much syntax inside of, you know, the chemistry of football. I just don't see him becoming binary ones and zeros when it comes time to get in this deal. I can't see that Brock would not draw the comparison of, hey, bruh, there's a way that you can negotiate for this deal that could completely kill you in the locker room, right? As far as being a leader is concerned. One of the reasons why Tom Brady was loved so much was specifically because of that reason. Now, I have my own druthers about Tom Brady and how he hurt his brothers around the league. But as far as
his contract was used by every other team to say that's why we're not paying you.
He was the standard bearer for guys not getting paid because he was the best quarterback in the league and he was taking team deals. And he was taking
he was taking team deals because he was married to Giselle.
Mm-hmm.
His wife's making as much as he is, if not more. It's easy for him to do.
Right.
Not everybody else is married to an international supermodel.
Yeah.
We'd all like that. We'd all prefer that, but no.
Hell, exactly. So that's the thing about all of this is that I don't believe that he would miss that. That's a blind spot. Right.
I don't think that's for Brock. And I think that Brock and his agent were both kind of surprised when there was blowback when they were talking 60 and the fans said, "How dare you?"
Yeah.
I think they finally understood that 60 is a bridge too far.
Yes.
And I think that's why the range just stops at 55.
Mm-hmm.
Brock loses his nice guy next door persona. If he goes for 60, he becomes greed personified. The fans will turn. He signs for 55, they won't. And I think that Brock and his agent are keenly aware of that now. And it helps the Niners in these negotiations.
100%. So look, man, I'll tell you this right now. They need to do their best to understand exactly how they're going to bear this out, right? One of the best things that I've seen with this whole entire negotiation tactic is that they're kind of doing it out in the open and they're getting rid of guys at the right time. So I'm team organization on this all the way through. I think that whatever Brock gets is going to be life-changing money and it's going to be well-deserved for what he's done thus far.
Yeah, I agree. If they want Brock to sign Brock, I think we'll eventually come to the realization that 60 can't be done and that it shouldn't be done for his persona face of the franchise marketing.
Okay. So look, I'm going to skip a topic. We're going to do the top 30 definitely, but I don't think it would be good to do the top 30 if one of the players that is actually in the top 30 is a topic that we're going to talk about. So I want to go straight to Niners locked in on Kelvin Banks. All right, let's get to it. So this one is going to be a fun topic. So let's go ahead and get it, man. So really, what we got right here is a trusted source, many on Twitter, but actual trusted sources around the league have said that the 49ers are targeting offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. with their first round pick. Is this the right move or a potential disaster waiting to happen? We break down why this rumor is gaining steam and why it's causing concern. So here go a couple of things that I want to get out of the way. Okay. Kelvin Banks Jr. is not a bad football player. Okay. That's not what we're here to say. All right. The only thing that kind of throws me off about Kelvin Banks Jr. is just some of his weaknesses that we've seen. All right. And those weaknesses that we've seen kind of throw us off of the trail of wanting to get him as, a can't miss guy. Right. Some things that we've seen definitely are just with the technique level of Kelvin Banks Jr. We've also looked at some of the height, weight, speed issues of Kelvin Banks Jr. And some things that I wanted to go over are just some of the reasons why we think that our old boy is just not the right fit. But listen, if we were to draft him, it would be a situation where I don't think that people understand that we're drafting a guard, right? Good player. Love Kelvin Banks Jr. But Tom, tell me what you see when you hear that the 49ers are going after Kelvin Banks Jr.
The first thing I hear is Mike McGlinchey 2.0. That you're fixed on the position. You're forcing the position itself. You're overly worried about Trent, but you're not paying attention to the player himself. Can Kelvin Banks in the NFL play left tackle? No.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue, is that you're drafting someone who can't play left. And it's the same mistake they made with McGlinchey. They thought he was going to play left. He never did.
Right.
You have to evaluate the player. The player's a guard. He's got balance issues, waist bender, lunger, balance issues. He's got problems against inside rush moves. He's got problems against speed.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things mean that you can't put him on an island at left tackle in the league. I think he'd be a great guard. I think he'd be a bad left tackle, and he'd be a failed experiment. And then they'd say, gee, we gave up the 11th pick to get the replacement for Trent Williams, and he's not the replacement for Trent Williams. That's my issue with this. Don't go down the McGlinchey road. Don't assume he can play left tackle. He can't. When you
Yeah.
project him to the NFL, I don't see a left tackle. I see a guard. And there's a lot of people that do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I see about him is that he's just not as flexible as you need, is that you need him to be for his height, weight, and speed. I mean, only at 6'4", at 11, you want somebody that's not as rigid, man. For me, it's the moderate hip stiffness, right? It can hinder his ability to mirror quicker edge rushers out on the island, and they're going to see that a lot to be honest with you, our drop back game is a little not matched up. We got 7 drop backs in a drop back game where we kind of get away with that stuff with having great guys like Trent Williams, a prime Trent Williams at tackle. That's going to be asking for a lot. We've already talked about his occasional tendency to bend at the waist and rather at the knees. It leads to a lot of balance issues. And that's one thing that's really going to throw him off of being a waist bender is that the smoke screens, right, that are going to be thrown by different pass rushers on Kelvin Banks Jr. is some of the things that I need to be able to see in improving concept. I don't think that he's a good guy to pick at 11 overall. He's just not a can't miss guy.
No. He's not BPA at 11, much less the best offensive tackle. So why are you doing this? Hopefully this is just a smokescreen. And 'tis the season where you just throw stuff out there and throw a lot of smoke up.
Mm-hmm.
And so people don't really understand what your true intent is. But in terms of this rumor claims that Banks is locked in as their first option. But that doesn't make sense when you're 11 players into your 30 visits. And the whole point of the 30 visits is to evaluate the draft class and make a decision after that on who you're going to pick.
Right.
So I don't buy that Kelvin Banks is locked in. He might be who they prefer at the moment, but we've still got a lot of people to come in through Santa Clara. Once that process is done, if there's then a rumor about who they'll listen to or who they're looking at, that's a possibility. But then you're on top of the draft, and then they don't want to show their cards anyway.
Yeah, agreed, man. I'll tell you this. Maybe it's a smokescreen. Maybe it's to throw people off from what the Niners are really trying to do. Maybe they're super into Armand Mimbu and they just want to get people off from trying to jump him if Armand slips or the Niners have to go up and go get him. But for me, this is a little bit of a non-starter. What we would get is we get a really good guard. He'd be a phenomenal guard. Right?
No question. But if you're drafting him with the specific intent of replacing Trent Williams, job one is, can he play left tackle in the league? And the answer is no.
No.
And that's why you do not draft him.
Yeah, I agree. So we finally got that out of our system. Let's move on to our next pick. Because I think I had to start with, I think that Kelvin Banks is a good player, right? Because I don't want to, right,
as a guard.
Yes. I don't want to get mixed up into the weeds, right? As a guard, right?
I don't want to trash him. I just want to say that if your plan is he's going to replace Trent, your plan has failed.
100%. I don't like that move at all.
No.
So let's get into our next topic, which actually is breaking down the 49ers top 30 visit. So look, man, we have come up with some stuff where we're going to walk through this boy. And Tom, we're going to walk through one by one. We're going to take our time with this thing, Tom, because the Niners have they have 1130 visits. We've got 9 players that we want to walk through. What we're going to do is be able to see, number one, what these guys bring as far as just the player at large. Also, what it looks like for the Niners being able to draft these guys up and down the draft and where they may pull the trigger on these guys. And also, simply, is this a smokescreen? Are all of these guys that came in for the Niners exactly what the Niners are exactly what the Niners want to pick up in the draft? So a couple of things that we want to get to is let's just go ahead and get to player one that we love right now, which is Mike Green. Mike Green, edge rusher, Marshall, 6'3", 251 pounds. Projected overall 8th through 20th, 17 sacks, 23 tackles for loss, 63 pressures, former linebacker and wrestler. His positives are get off, change of direction, speed to power, closing speed, and rushing moves with violent hands. Playing out of control are some of his weaknesses. Tom, talk to me about what we see in Mike Green so far.
I think Green's the second best edge in the draft. I'm surprised that they overlooked the character concerns and brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a sign of they've either done their due diligence or they want to make sure that they're seeing all of the available talent. Is Mike Green that much better than the other edges they bring in, for example? They're also bringing in Mykel Williams. So Green is sort of a barometer for them of, okay, is he the next best guy? And
Mm-hmm.
they'll know in bringing them in. But to me, I think that Green is the second most talented edge and that I would take him over Mykel Williams. And that's the purpose of both visits is let's see who's better between them.
One of the things that I like about him is explosive first step, right?
Yeah.
And this kid brings more than just he's not just a one trick pony. Most of your elite pass rushers, they kind of got a move that took them all the way to the NFL, right? And it's really their linchpin backbone move. I'll tell you this right now. He's got advanced pass rusher repertoire. All right. He's got cross chop moves, fluid spin move counters. This guy's got a mean bull rush. Mike Green has a myriad of moves at a very young age in his career. Somebody that I like. And then also, you know me, I'm wrist down, hands. He's got violent hands. So somebody that I'd love for the Niners to pick up at 11. Do you think that this is a smokescreen or this is viable?
I think it's real.
Mm-hmm.
If the fact that they're overlooking the character stuff tells me that this is something they're taking very seriously. That we need to get the best pass rusher. Let's see who they are. And so they bring in Green. But yeah, his rush moves, there's a lot of people, Jeremiah among others, who say that he has the most advanced arsenal of pass moves in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy. He's got all the tools. And that's somebody that the Niners can want. He's got the first step that Kasarik loves. He's got the pass rush moves. And he's got some strength to him so that he can stop the run, too. He can set the edge. He's
Definitely.
not just a designated speed guy. He's a complete player.
Definitely. Let's move into our next 30 visit candidate. Right now, Landon Jackson, edge out of Arkansas, 6'6", 264, projected top 50 guy on the lower end, though, 36 through 50, 6.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 36 pressures, explosive at individuals and at Indy in the combine, putting out an explosive 40.5-inch vert and 129-inch broad jump. Positives: long athletic, blends well, closes well, lateral quickness, and rush moves. But we have some weaknesses. Tom, let's get into it. How do you feel about Landon Jackson?
I think that the negatives are too high. It's part of why he goes to the second, is that he has to learn to play with leverage. Otherwise, he's not going to work in this system.
Mm-hmm.
So they would need to coach that to him. And he doesn't stack and shed well. His hands aren't violent. He's got some injury concerns. So Jackson, when healthy, is a great athlete, a great player, but is he a fit for the system? I'm not sure. I would rather see the Niners use pick 11 at an edge. I think that's where the talent falls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the second round is the best place to get an edge. I would rather get an edge in the first or the third. I think that's the way the draft goes.
100%. One thing that I'll tell you is that, yeah, if you're going to get an edge, you better get the best. And if you're going to get an edge, you better get a bargain, because there's nobody really in between inside of that second round draft where you're going to be reaching. If you're drafting an edge in the second round, in my opinion, you're reaching for what you didn't get done in the first round, right?
You're compromising.
Yeah. And compensating, to be honest.
That too.
Yeah. Some of the weaknesses that you said are pretty notable. One thing that I'll tell you is that he's just not a natural space player for me. He would have been awesome back 10, 15 years ago. I would have made him gain about 40 more pounds, put him at 305 and put him at 4-3 defensive end and forgot about him right there. But if you're going to be playing in today's game, you need to be able to actually do something in space. Landon Jackson in space it's a bit of an issue. For me, I'll tell you this: if we did get him, we would definitely lean on Coach Kasarik as far as developmental situations are concerned. But moving forward, how would you feel? I mean, is this viable? Is this a smokescreen? What do you think?
I think it's an option where it's just if we don't get an edge in the first, let's take a look at what the talent is in the second. And you
Mm-hmm.
could use Jackson as sort of an experiment to say, okay, here's the talent level we get in the second round. Let's use that information to inform our draft. But I think that they will eventually bring in players who are also edge rushers from the third, and they'll see that they're better players than Jackson, and they'll move in that direction.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move into our third prospect who came in for the 30 visit. We're going over the top 30 visits that have already visited the Niners thus far. We've got 9 that we've gone through out of the possible 11 that we know of. This is the third player that we're rolling up on, which is Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State, 5'11", 190 pounds, projected still top 100, but a little lower. We're looking at possibly a third round pick. But 70 catches, 1,100 yards, 14 TDs. My God, 62.5 contested catch, 62.5% contested catch rate. Separates and change of directions are some of his skills. Acceleration with a 4.4. I'd love to know what his 10-yard split is. High points, reliable hands and effective releases. The Niners can't stay away from the skill guys. Tell me where, why, and would we be okay with the Niners drafting yet again another receiver? Third in 2 years.
I'm okay with drafting a receiver, but you have to get different flavors. This is a similar player to you've already got this skill set. So why are you drafting it again?
What's Jacob Cowing for?
Don't double down. Don't triple down.
Yeah.
What do they really need? If they're going to eventually move off of Ayuk, what they need is an X receiver with size that's got skills. That's not Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams is a slot guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love Kyle Williams. I saw him play up here. And he used to play when Cam Ward was at Washington State. That was an amazing pair. Was Williams and Ward. But for the Niners, you've already got this player. What are you doing?
No. Yeah, I think it's a little redundant. Also, I think that it may be a little bit of a contingency plan for if BA can't go, if BA necessarily isn't ramped up to do anything. They've got a little bit of solidarity there with Juwan Jennings. I believe Chris Conley's probably going to make the squad. Now you've got then 2-year players in Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing coming in. So the Niners do need speed. They need raw speed at the receiver position.
But they need speed with size. So I would rather have Savion Williams than Kyle Williams.
I think Savion Williams is better. Low key, I think Savion Williams is better than Ted McMillan, but don't get me on. Don't let me put my tinfoil hat on. I'm sorry.
I agree. No, I'm with you.
You agree?
On that. Oh, yeah.
I think Savion Williams is better than Ted McMillan, but I don't even want to go there. But
he does more. He's a playmaker and he's more versatile. Ted McMillan is a one-trick pony.
Come on, bro. Preach. Man, say it again for them in the back. We about to take up offering in here. Let's get to our next guy. Niners, I love this move. Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green, tight end, 6'3", 241. Another top 100 guy, projected 70th, between 70th and 90th overall, 117 catches, 1,550 yards, 10 TDs, 7 red zone touchdowns. That's big. 74 first downs. All right. And listen, the positives: good burst, strong lower body, yards after catch, good hands, alignment, versatile. Can he block, Tom? If he plays tight end for the Niners, can he block?
In line, no. Moving, yes. And that's part of the alignment versatility is you would need to have him moving. And Kyle does a lot of that, so that's a possibility. Fannin is such a talented receiver that you can line him up anywhere. And I think that's what Kyle sees is that I want somebody I can put anywhere in the offense. And Fannin at pick 100, I don't think he gets there. Again, our projection is 70 to 90. So the concern for the Niners is, okay, if you take him at 75, it's a bit of a reach.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wait until 100, he's gone. So what this tells me is if they're going to take Fannin, they're probably looking to move up from 100 because they would have to. He'd be gone otherwise.
There's no way. I mean, are we really in the business of trading up to go get? Are we really in the business of trading up to go get tight ends?
I think they want a tight end. I think that what they're doing signals that they're looking to add a second receiving tight end.
He runs a
Because
4.7.
it's not just yeah, I know. It's Fannin is one option, but they've also got Conyers that they're looking at in the 5th. He came in on a 30 visit as well. I think we can conclude that Kyle wants a receiving tight end. He's going to pick one. And is it going to be Fannin? Is it going to be Conyers? Is it going to be Tyler Warren? Is it going to be Colston Loveland? Who's it going to be? But I think that Kyle is fixed on. I want to make sure that I can run 12 personnel, and I want to have guys that can move around in the alignment and guys that can catch the ball downfield.
My only thing is that this seems like another recipe pick, right? This is another specialized guy, and that's one thing that I'm starting to see more and more. I mean, we've got about 5 more guys to go through, but if you look at, look, Mike Green, tip of the spear guy, I get it. All right, I understand that. But
Sure.
Landon Jackson is kind of a fit guy, right? He's not a
Well,
he's not a best.
He's not a fit guy,
but he's not tip of the spear. Kyle Williams is a fit guy. You know, that's
Right.
not the best available. Harold Fannin Jr. I let me be full disclosure. I have not watched Harold Fannin Jr., but from what we're talking about, he seems like another fit guy. Are we going to get caught up? Are we going to get caught up not going after best available when it's time for the draft?
On offense, yes. The saving grace is on defense. There's no way that Saleh is going to say, I'm going to run with who I've got and I'm going to bench my rookies. He can't afford that. He's got to add speed. He's got to add talent. So I think what's going to happen is the defense, Saleh's going to have a huge influence on the defensive picks. They're going to be BPA. The offensive picks are going to be typical Kyle. They're going to be specialists who fit what he wants. They're going to be the chess piece that he's looking for. So unfortunately, the chess piece in this case is tight end is one of the chess pieces he wants out of this draft.
I don't like it. On top of the fact that we just spent $20 million on a freaking tight end.
Yeah. But that tight end's 31, so here we are.
Why do we find ourselves always staring at each other like, what are we going to do? We're like...
Because Kyle Shanahan's the GM and he's a bad one.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Let's get into the next guy. TJ Sanders. Now, this is a guy that I like. I'm a TJ Sanders fan. All right. So let's get into old TJ. 6'4", 305. For me, in today's NFL, that's perfect. That's perfect size for a defensive tackle. All right. 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 33 pressures, 24 stops, 305, but a boulder versus the run. See, this is why I love you. This is you. You're good, you. You're good.
Thanks, Coach.
Go ahead, man. You take it away, Tom.
Even though he's 305, he's great against the run. His leg drive is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
His motor is huge. It's always running. And this guy is just a force.
Mm-hmm.
He makes himself felt. He makes his presence felt. And he's just somebody you can't move. Yeah. You can look at the measurables and say he's not 320. He's not going to fit the wide 9. You got to look at the player himself. He's incredibly strong, especially lower body. His anchor is amazing. This guy doesn't get moved. And so if they want to get a boulder, here's your guy. Here's one of the best boulders in the draft.
Yeah. For me, this is a 3-down player. Very rare in today's NFL where you get a defensive tackle that can give you something from first to second and third down. Again, if you want to talk about a guy with the hand of God, hands. I mean, I seen him put his hands on one dude. It almost knocked the guy out. I was like, my God.
Yeah, he's got bricks.
He's got bricks for hands. One thing I love about him is that's at 6'4", you would think that he plays a little taller, but he plays with natural leverage. He's very flexible, plays really low to the ground, plays with a flat back and a nice plane to the deck and the line of scrimmage. Very well coached. You got to be disciplined to play like that at all times. I've seen some of his later games, Tom, where he's actually kept that technique locked in, which is impressive. One thing I see about him is that he's an old school guy. Play at South Carolina, they don't have a lot of 5 stars running around out there. So if you're a starter at a middling SEC school, you're pretty much going to get all you can take and all you can handle when it comes to the type of football that you can handle. That's one thing that I love about him is that he can also play from 0 to the 5 as far as technique. All right. This is somebody that can also, on third down, you can throw him out at the 5 tech, and he's going to be just as dangerous. He shows ability to be effective from multiple alignments. All right. One thing also I love about him is that he's consistent with active hands at the line of scrimmage. One move ain't enough. This dude shoots 1 secondary moves, 3 moves. I mean, he will keep shooting moves until the ball is either out or it's gone. And then he's turning around and chasing down to go get guys. I'm
and he's
telling you.
great in pursuit.
Oh my God. Natural short area quickness, lateral ability. It makes him a weapon on twist games and stunts. And then again, first step, explosive first step. I don't know why a lot of people aren't talking about TJ Sanders, but I believe that if the Niners picked him up in the second round, this would be a steal. I honestly do.
Yeah, I would take him at 43.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in him that much. The projection is what we indicate, 60 to 78. So that would be a trade down from 43.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in his talent enough where I think that this is the guy that if you take Green and Sanders in the first 2 picks, you're in great shape on your D-line.
Yeah. One thing about him is that I've seen a knock on him somewhere that like his energy wanes later in games, right? And that's because he plays the entire damn game. He's not going to have to play that many snaps in the NFL. This kid, if you give him 40 snaps a game, he's going to play like he played. His first snap is going to look like his 40th snap. I really believe that if the Niners took in TJ Sanders, this would be a steal. What say you, Tom?
I agree completely. Yeah, one of the positives is high motor, and he embodies that. He plays hard. So yeah, you're going to wear out in the SEC playing against huge linemen. That's going to happen. But as you point out, there's no way he's playing 60 snaps in the league.
Yeah.
So I got no issue. I love Sanders. I would take him at 43. I would take him at 75 if he lasts there. But either way, bring him in, evaluate him, and I hope that they fall in love with him because we do. We think this guy's real.
Yeah, this guy's for real. Let's get into our next guy, Walter Nolan. So, well documented. We've been talking about this kid for months.
Yeah.
The Niners love him too. Obviously, they've been watching the faithful review. Sure. You're welcome, Kyle. You're welcome, John. You're welcome. All right. The check's in the mail. 6'3", 296, top 30 guy, twitchy disruptor, powerful D-tackle, edge versatility, violent hands, and he's aggressive. Poor contact balance. He's on the ground a lot. You know what, Tom? That is a very, sometimes when you're trying to write these like strengths and weaknesses, you can get really caught up in the word verbiage. Yeah. Sometimes if you just say it plainly, on the ground a lot. That is so true about him. He does not keep his feet at all. And in the league, one gap here, one missed inch here, one missed technique here. And if you're flying on the ground just because you see a little bit of paint, people will route you up. Hey, but let's get to the good stuff. Talk to me about Walter Nolan, good and bad. Let's go there.
Well, the good is that he's twitchy. I mean, this is a guy that was the number 1 overall recruit out of high school. This is the ultimate Clay.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for him, he went to A&M, who has done a terrible job of coaching up these guys. I mean, at one point in time, you had Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Fadil Diggs, all on the same line at A&M, and they didn't dominate. What's going on?
Well, that's Jimbo Fisher,
right? But Jimbo can recruit. Jimbo can't coach. And if you're a recruit, why are you going to A&M when you're not going to get coached? Nolan goes to Ole Miss, he gets better because he got some coaching. The problem is he didn't get enough coaching over 4 years. So he comes to the NFL, he's going to need to get coached up because he's still raw. He still needs to add to his pass rush technique. He doesn't have an arsenal of moves. He wins basically by just overpowering people with power and speed. And so if you add technique, he can be a beast, but it's going to be a while. Walter Nolan can be a special player if he's coached up well, if he takes to that and really buckles down and says, okay, I'm getting this done. I'm going to be an all-pro in this league. If that's his commitment level, he can be great. But you have to be patient because he's not there yet.
I'll tell you this. One thing that I really do believe is going to be the bane that's really going to make him kind of sit down and learn all of this. You know, when you look at a guy like him, is that, you know, he is the ultimate clay. He's cut from a piece of granite. All right. The kid
Yeah.
he's been a Showtime guy since high school. He doesn't know what it's like to struggle with the game. How he plays has always been the best way to play. So my biggest thing with Walter Nolan is, can you be a pro? Can you take direction? Can you be coached? Can you take up coaching, and can I see that being replicated on the field, right? Not your way, my way. Can you do it the right way? Now, one thing that will kind of put him in place is that he's got short arms. That's
Yeah.
one thing about Walter Nolan. He's got just over 30-inch arms. He's got 33-inch arms, right? Which is a little too short for a defensive tackle, especially a 6'3" defensive tackle. He's got short
Yeah.
arms for his height, right?
Right. Right.
And one thing about him is that is something where you're going to have to use technique, because offensive linemen who have the arm length and who have the punch are going to be able to just stymie any move you have. So he's going to have to be able to listen and utilize all of his tools in the right way. My only thing is that picking up a defensive tackle with his talent, you're going to have to take a responsible team that's going to take him on and say, hey, you're our 11th overall pick, but you're going to do it our way first. Do we as a fan base have the patience for that?
No. But the bigger question is, do the Niners as a coaching staff have the patience for that? And can they develop him? And is he willing to be coached?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question on him. But that's also the problem that he's faced, is that he went to A&M. You say he doesn't take the coaching. He didn't get coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it, is you have to have quality coaching to be coached. I don't think he's really had that except for this 1 year at Ole Miss. So with Nolan, you've got an amazing piece of clay, but can you mold him, and is he willing to be molded? If so, he's an all-pro. If not, he's a bust. It's the highest risk reward player out of all of this group is probably Nolan.
Awesome. So let's get into, this is a guy who I know, I got mixed feelings about this guy. Omar Norman Lott, 6'2", 303, top 100 guy, just inside of 80, 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 24 pressures, 9 stops. All right, pass rushing specialist, limited snaps. Now, his get off is what you see about him right off the bat, right? He's a disruptor. I love that you broke down rush moves, 18.8% of power, highest in the class, okay? And leverage to power. Sorry, do you guys hear me? He said that I was muted. All right.
No.
Get off disruptor. Rush moves, 18.8% of power in the highest class, and leverage to power. One thing that I am worried about is, can he stop the run?
No. And that's already proven. It's why Tennessee already knows that. That's why he doesn't take the field. The reason his stats are so low, 4 sacks, 4 TFL, he only plays in pass rush downs. They don't put him in there on the run. And the issue on the run game is his missed tackle rate is astronomical, 33.3%. He misses a tackle a third of the time. Can you really play a guy like that?
No.
Yeah, it's just, I get it. And 18.8% pass rush win rate is unbelievable. But if it comes along with not being able to tackle, what are you doing? Why? So I don't think so. I don't get why they brought him in. They need more complete players than this. And even if you wanted a pass rush specialist, I'd go elsewhere. Plus, he's got the chronic knee that they flagged at Indy. So it's just, do we want to take damaged goods that can only play on pass rush downs? No.
Yeah, I think that he's a little bit of damaged goods. I was definitely going to bring up his injury history. My big thing for defensive line is that we need to keep the main thing.
Right.
You got to earn the right to get to the pass rush. Right? That means that you got to survive the first 2 downs of stopping the run. All right. And if you can't stop the run, then we ain't even going to get to a pass rush. We ain't even going to get to a 3rd down. So my biggest thing right now is that we saw what we got when I know that the Niners love these defensive tackles that can go get the quarterback. They love that interior push, right? That's part of the reason why they sided with Eric Armstead over DeForest Buckner. It's part of the reasons why the Niners went out and spent the boatload of money on Javon Hargrave to come in here, because they kept leaning towards the pass rush ability of interior linemen. And I think that this could hurt us. I'm really not a fan of picking up Omar Norman Lott.
And I don't think they will. I think they'll bring him in and they'll say, okay, here's a guy that's a great pass rush talent, but that's literally it.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you've got the highest pass rush win rate in the class, it's not enough. And plus, he's got the bad knee. It's just, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why they even brought him in. The 30 visits are prime. There's only 30.
You can't waste them.
Have to bring it in. This just strikes me as, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah. I didn't understand this one. It threw me off. Not a fan of it at all. And I'll tell you this. If they do pick him up, it shows where their head is at, and it'll be unfortunate. I just think that this guy he's got Javon Kinlaw, a step down from Javon Kinlaw written all over him. I feel you, Silas. That's why I put Silas Copeland's comment up. I agree with him 100% wholeheartedly.
Yeah, worse than Kinlaw? Yeah, unfortunately so. It's just they got spoiled by the interior pass rush that they got from Buckner. And ever since then, they've overvalued it and said, gee, if we just get that, then it empowers.
We don't need anybody to stop the run.
Yeah. Well, that too. It's you can't look at the wide nine as just a means to rush the passer, and I think that's kind of what they've been doing. They need to get away from that, and I'm hopeful that Saleh comes in and he says, no, we need a pass rush specialist outside, but we need boulders and penetrators inside. And I think
100%.
That's what they'll do.
Hey, man, we got one more, and then we're probably going to wrap it up from here, Tom.
Okay.
Let's go with Mykel Williams. Now, this is supposed to be an apex predator. I want you to give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. Georgia Edge 6'5", 267, projected top 20 guy. All right. 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 26 pressures, played hurt. He turns 21 in June. This is another young guy. Okay. What you're talking about is this guy's he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires. This is also another Jahad Campbell type. Jahad Campbell just turned 21 years old in February, one of the youngest guys in the draft. And this kid he comes from the old school. Let's talk about it. Coming out of a Kirby Smart-led defense and team, this kid comes from good stock. And we've seen what the transference of Georgia defensive guys, especially in this era, has done to certain teams, notably the Philadelphia Eagles. Talk to me about Mykel Williams, man.
I think that Mykel Williams has his best football ahead of him because he's so young. He's inconsistent right now. He doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves. He needs to be coached up, but he's so young that he can be something amazing later.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his size and say 6'5", 267. That's right out of a factory. That's exactly what you want. And he's long, and he's very good against the run and setting the edge. And he's had some deployment at Georgia where they used him to set the edge. So he fits what the Niners would want, but is he good enough as a pass rusher right now? No. 477 40 speed is a big flag for me. That's too slow.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't have the moves, and you've got to be coached all of that from ground zero. It's just he's almost too much of a project to take at 11. I get the upside. He can be amazing, but when? By the time Mykel Williams is what you want him to be, coaching staff's been replaced, so I don't think they're going to take him.
Oh, for sure, man. So, hey, how are we going to – this is my only thing is that at a 4'7", and the boy is already 270 pounds, all right, and he's 6'5", and he's 20. He ain't going to get faster. No. I believe that this may be another Eric Armstead type guy that they're trying to bring in here. I mean, he's 270 pounds at 6'5", running a 4'7". Let's be honest, he doesn't have his man body yet. He's only 20. So give him 2 to 3 years. I've got a sneaking suspicion that if you draft the Michael Williams, he's going to be a defensive tackle in 2 years. They're going to kick him inside.
Probably.
He's going to gain about 15 to 20 pounds. He's going to be about 290, and they're going to call him like a move defensive tackle, right? And my only thing is that I got Hannibal here. When I had Hannibal and he was only about 20 pounds, he had some big old paws. And I already knew he going to grow into them paws. You know what I'm saying? He going to grow into these things. And his paws are a little too big for me. I don't see edge for Michael Williams. I think that he'll get to the league, he'll mature, right? And he's going to get stronger and bigger, and they're going to move him on the inside. And and honestly, if you look at it that way, is that something that the Niners can? Is that a good track for us? What do you think?
I don't think it works because I don't think he's got the pass rush skills, regardless of where you play him. So if the thinking is, gee, we've got this edge and we're going to convert him to defensive tackle, what's he going to bring as a pass rusher inside? He doesn't have the arsenal of moves. He doesn't have much of anything. And what he's winning on now is basically length. And so length inside is relative. It's just, how do you win? And how does he win in college? He wins with his physicality. He wins with his length. But for an edge, you want a guy that can convert speed to power. You want a guy with closing speed. You want a guy that can make plays happen. He doesn't. You look at the tackle, 5 sacks, 9 TFLs. I get that he's playing hurt, but even when he's healthy, he was healthy at Indy and he ran a 4.77. Sorry, guy. Not interested.
Yeah, definitely. So, hey, we'll see what the Niners do moving forward. But, hey, it's still a 30 visit. All right. And then we've already talked about it. The Niners guard. Right. So close us out, man. How do you feel about this one?
As long as you plan ahead and say that this is our guard, okay. But if you're
at
going
11?
to sell, yeah, I don't do that. Well, I don't take Banks, period. Every draft I have a list of players that I specifically say do not draft. This year, there's very few players on the list. The top of the list, Kelvin Banks Jr. Do not draft him. Do not. He's a guard, period. So we'll see. But as we wrap up, I just want to say this, that when I was covering the Niners back in the day, I was at Candlestick. I would usually sit next to the advanced scout for the next opponent. They said with the draft, go get greatness, target playmakers. And they specifically said, look at Walsh. He wins the Super Bowl. The next draft, he trades up for Jerry Rice. That made the Niner dynasty right there. Aggression, go get greatness. There's a songwriter, producer, David Foster, the main composer for After the Love Is Gone. His credo is something that you embody, and I love it. It's this: good is the enemy of great. You are that. You are always greatness, always.
Yes.
And I think that the best drafts are greatness always. That's what Walsh did.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks is good as the enemy of great.
Yeah. I mean, one thing.
Do it. Don't.
One thing that I've always said is that this is the best game in the world. It's the best. This is the best version of the game on planet Earth. You don't shop in the draft to stock the cupboard. You go on the draft to go be different. You go on the draft to go get something that you can't find in free agency, that you can't get. Right? Your Patrick Mahomes are in the draft. Your Josh Allens are in the draft, right? Your Saquon Barkleys are in the draft. So I want us to go swinging. We got to go get linemen. We got to go get offensive linemen. We got to get tackles. All right. And it is what it is. Also, this is a sneaky little topic that we're going to throw in here before we get out of here. I'll throw you one, Stovey. What if Trent is retiring and just waiting on the draft? What if Trent pulls a Joe Staley? Where
I don't think he will. There are rumors, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but Trent needs the money, not just wants, needs. His lifestyle reportedly is up there. He spends a lot of money. So I think that Trent is invested in making sure he gets that cash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Trent's going anywhere.
Me neither. I don't think he's going there anywhere either. But is there a world where that's the way the cookie crumbles?
Maybe. He certainly suffered heartbreak with the stillbirth. That was tragic.
Right.
And something like that, as we've seen with Javarius Ward in what he had to go through, it's just devastating. And he spoke of seeing ghosts in a locker room. If Trent sees that, then okay. But from what I've heard is that Trent held out for a reason. He wanted that money, and he needs that money. And I think that because of that, he's sticking around.
Yeah, I tend to believe that as well. I think that he needs the money. I don't think that he's going anywhere. And what it looks like right now is that we've got to be able to get somebody in here because I just don't see Trent playing a full season anymore for us.
No, but that doesn't mean it has to be Kelvin Banks. I mean, they're looking at Josh Connerly. Maybe they trade up from 43 to get him, or they can also look at Grant from William and Mary. I think he's a nice player. That's somebody that they can look at too.
Yeah, what do you think about Belton out of NC State?
I like Belton a lot. It's just a question of where do you have to take him and what are you going to sacrifice defensively to do it?
Yeah, 100%. Tom, thank you so much. I know
Thanks,
we this
stuff.
one could have went for 2 hours.
Easy.
We've got so many more topics to talk about, but we just got to get to some prior engagements that I've already had. Hey, Tom, love you, man. This is the coach.
Love you, Coach.
And Tom, stay low and keep your feet moving. Guys, when the draft comes, we are going to knock your socks off. Just wait until the draft. Me and Tom are calling the draft together, and we got all types of goodies for you. You like that Kelvin Banks graphic? You like that Kelvin Banks graphic that you saw? You got more of that with every player in the draft. We're going to be bringing out all of the information about the guys that get drafted, and we're going to have a great time. So tune in for the draft because that's really what we've been preparing for over the past couple of months. Tom, love you, brother.
Love you, Coach. Great one.
Talk to you.